Welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Corner podcast. And I'm back after our summer hiatus. And I know that on social media, we make a big deal about if you take a social media break, like you don't need to announce it to the world. Like you don't need to be like, I'm leaving, I'll be back later. And when you're back, you don't need to say, I'm back. But here I am saying on the podcast, I'm back. So, if you've been a longtime listener, I am going to talk a little bit today about some changes that we're making to the podcast. And if you're a newer listener, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. If you don't already know me, I'm Ruthie Starrett, a marketing strategist and founder of the Consistency Corner, a holistic marketing agency. And I've become known online as the champion of the Instagram 9 grid strategy. And so people ask me a lot of social media questions, but we all know that social media in and of itself is not a strategy, just like a coffee cup isn't coffee, it's a container. And there's different things that we can put into that container to make it effective. And there's other containers that we need to be filling as well. I mean, we can't just survive on coffee alone. We also need food and water, wine, sometimes a good sparkling beverage. And we've got to have all of those things to survive. And our marketing strategy is the exact same way. We cannot rely on Instagram alone. We've got to be filling other containers with our message in order to connect with our customers, because connecting with our audience is what builds relationships, and relationships lead to sales. So that's like a super simplified version of what I teach, what I talk about, and what I champion with my clients. But we're going to talk today about 8 marketing trends that I have been seeing in the second half of 2024 that you need to know about and what they mean for your business, whether you are DIYing all of your own marketing, you are leading a team with your marketing, or you are ready to outsource and bring on a strategic marketing partner that can guide you to up-level your marketing and visibility. So let's get into it. The first trend that I want to cover is actually part of the shift in our podcast here is that podcast content is getting shorter. So the podcast world, I feel like kind of had a moment in 2020 and 2021 as people were spending more time at home. They were starting to maybe exercise more, take walks. And a lot of people really started listening to podcasts as a way to like connect to other humans because they were stuck at home and not able to connect in other ways. And sometimes listening to a podcast can feel like you're having a conversation with friends. And so longer form podcasts were really trending. And as we have moved into 2024, we are seeing that in the podcast space, shorter form podcasts are the way to go. We all know our attention spans get shorter and shorter thanks to social media in part. Short form video has become, as we all know, the king of content right now on social. But because there are so many different types of content that we can consume, shorter form content tends to perform better because people can quickly and easily consume it and then move on to something else. So 20, 30, 40, 60-minute podcasts are not getting the same downloads and the same listens that they used to. And shorter form podcasts, 20 minutes or less, even 10 minutes or less, are actually becoming more effective in your marketing strategy. So one of the things that we're doing here on the Consistency Corner is we'll be having some shorter episodes. And then I'm working on a private podcast that'll have some more deep dives and more actionable strategies for you in terms of outsourcing your marketing, what you need to know to outsource, what questions you need to be asking when you outsource. So that's coming. So, be on the lookout for that. But here on the regular podcast, the main podcast, we're going to be keeping the episodes short and sweet with really quick tips that you need to know to keep you informed and working on your marketing, and confident in the decisions that you're making to market your business, because marketing can be really complex and I want to help simplify it for you here on the podcast. So let's move into trend number 2, because I got to keep this podcast short, right? Trend number 2 is engagement is down across the board. Part of this is really because we're in an election cycle, and historically during election cycles, starting in about September, October, we start to see a dip in engagement on social media because people like check out. They're like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I'm sick of it. And even in email, because people are spending less time consuming digital content because they're like over it with the election. This year, unprecedented times, as we all know that we're living in, I feel like the election cycle has gotten louder sooner And so everybody is definitely seeing less engagement. Algorithms are also shifting because the platforms are constantly tweaking them and changing them. But in general, engagement is down. So, what does that mean for you? Well, it means number one, don't panic. You are not doing anything wrong. You might be, but in general, you're probably not. It is a trend we're seeing across the board. So know that, and know that after the election, things could cycle in the other way, and just keep tweaking your content. Keep having conversations with humans to understand what is resonating with your audience versus like post and ghost or not creating content at all because you think that people aren't consuming it. Have conversations. Ask people what they see. And remember, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second, that people don't see everything you create. So you should probably be sick of your message in order for people to actually hear your message and it resonate with them. So keep creating, keep putting it out there. Know that engagement is down for everyone. And there are some other shifts and things that we'll talk about in future episodes that you can do. But that is a trend that we are definitely seeing. And along with that declining engagement, one of the things that I'm seeing, so trend number 3, is an increase in social media advertising. Advertising and short form video, those are still the number one ways to reach new audiences on social media. A couple weeks ago, I did an experiment on my Instagram. I have 3 Instagram accounts, and I opened them all up several times throughout the day and started my scroll and counted in the first 10 posts, what was I seeing? On average, in the first 10 posts, 3 to 4 of those posts were ads, sponsored posts. 4 to 5 of those posts were reels. And then maybe 1 or 2 was a regular static post or carousel post. So we know that that's what the platform is feeding out to people. We also know that sometimes you see reels from people you follow, but they also show you reels from people you don't. So knowing that short form video is a great way to get in front of your audience, and paid ads are a way that is how you're going to get in front of new eyes and even engage with the people that are already following you. I'm not a paid ad specialist. When my clients are ready for ads, we absolutely bring in an expert to the team and align that with their organic strategy. But I just want you to know that the ad spend trend is continuing to go up. And it doesn't mean you have to pour thousands into your ads. It does mean that you have to know your ideal customer. It does mean you have to be aligned in your messaging. It does mean that you have to have a funnel built to take the customer through after they go through that ad. But just know that that might be something that you need to plan on for the second half of 2024, or even as we start to think about 2025, because social media continues to change and it continues to grow more and more into a pay to play platform. And along with that increase in social media advertising, the next trend that I want to cover is the trend of the micro offer. Micro offers are like a 7 to 27, sometimes $37 offer. It's usually like a template or a digital course or a guide or something like that. And I'm seeing a big influx from service providers creating these micro offers and running ads behind the micro offers. So what does this mean? Well, a lot of times what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the cost of the digital product to be what's the word I'm looking for? Like paid for by the cost per acquisition of the ad. So let's say you have a $7, $10. Let's do $10 so I can do the math easy in my head. You have a $10 offer. You spend $50 per day on ads, and you get 5 people to purchase that thing. So then technically the revenue you've brought in from the product is paying for your ad. Now you're like, okay, Ruthie, but you're not making any money then. Like you're breaking even. What's the point? Well, the point is you're adding that person to your email list and you're putting them through a funnel that will likely convert either to, soon or in the future because you're building that audience through ads. And I'm seeing more and more and more people running ads for micro products because their service providers that likely, or coaches or consultants that likely have large ticket packages, And growing their list organically has not been working as well as it has in the past. And the sales cycle or the amount of time it takes someone to make a decision to purchase is taking longer. And so they're using ads and these micro offers to get people on their list so that they can nurture the relationships and have a pipeline for future sales. So, our next trend, along with those micro offers, is another thing that kind of relates to the micro offer trend is ManyChat. If you haven't heard of ManyChat, I bet you have, you just don't know you've heard of it. If you're scrolling Instagram and you see somebody say, like, comment, decide below, and I'll send you my decision guide. That's one of the ones that I use. Or comment recipe, and I'll send you the link to the recipe. ManyChat is an automation tool that you can set up in the back end where somebody makes that comment, it automatically sends them a DM with whatever it is, the thing that you have told it to send with that keyword, and then puts a comment below of like, hey, I sent it to you in the DMs. Well, this does two things. Number one, it drives engagement, which engagement on your post can boost how many people see your post. So that's helpful. It gets people into your funnel by number one, putting them in your inbox, your DMs, but then giving them an opportunity to opt in to either a paid offer or a free resource by joining your email list. So this is all the back end workings of a funnel, but knowing that that is a trend that several brands, product-based brands and service-based brands are using, it's not going away. So think about that in terms of your funnels, your top of funnel, and your entry points of how people can connect with you and become part of your community or get on your email list. That the keyword strategy is a great way to do it because it it gives people that like instant gratification that they get the thing they want right away. And you're like, okay, well, why don't we just do like link in bio, click the link in bio? Well, two things. Number one, Instagram does not like to send people off its platform. The job of that platform is to keep people on it. So when you say, click the link in my bio to get the thing, there's a good chance that that post won't be shown to people because Instagram knows you're asking people to leave the platform. And that I don't have like scientific evidence of this, but it's a pretty big hunch that a lot of marketers know that they kind of like downplay that, like click here or link in bio. It can hurt you in the being served in the feed. But ManyChat encourages engagement, and engagement is what keeps people on the platform, but helps them get that thing that they're looking for without them having to go hunt for it on your website, in your bio, and they can easily get that link that they need right then and there. So ManyChat is not going anywhere, and I would not be surprised if ManyChat starts to roll out integrations with other platforms such as LinkedIn. Facebook is okay because you can put the link right there. LinkedIn, you can put the link right there too, but they've actually changed recently. If you're putting a link in your post, the image that goes along with it. So, okay, back up a little bit here. On LinkedIn, the image that you put in that is like the preview image that on the back end of the website, you say, this is what you're going to show when somebody previews this link. On LinkedIn, that used to be a full size image, and then the link was still there in the copy and you could click on the link. Well, recently they have changed the feed so that if you put a link, the preview image is really small. It's like tiny almost next to the words for the link or the title of the link because LinkedIn is prioritizing sponsored content. Well, what is sponsored content? It's an ad. So they're giving priority to ads with links by letting them have a full size image, and then organic posts with links, the image gets minimized, which means people are more likely to miss it in their feed. So just kind of that's like a bonus one. I hadn't even thought about talking about that trend. That one is happening, over on the LinkedIn platform. Another thing in terms of platforms is Meta's push for Threads. So Threads launched last summer, and we were all like, oh, Threads, Threads, Threads. And it was fun. It had like, I don't know, 7 million people join it in the first 30 days. And then it kind of fell off. A lot of people were like, nah, I don't really know about this. From what I am hearing from service providers and coaches and consultants and people looking for speaking opportunities is that Threads has been a great place to connect with community in terms of getting speaking engagements or collaboration opportunities because it's quieter. It's still there. People are still hanging out there, and the competition is less because less people are on it. But it definitely has its place. And it's definitely something that I think can continue to be used the way Twitter was when it first started, as a platform to build thought leadership, a platform to build community, because people are talking and having conversations on it. So I'm still not all in on Threads, because I teach everybody that we need to be really all in on one platform before we layer in more. But if you love to write and you love to have conversations and you're not really all about the visual or the video, Threads might be the platform for you. And that might be one to kind of shift over to. Another thing that Meta is doing, and a trend that I wanted to cover, is the shift in the metrics that they are using to discuss Reels. So Reels, when you looked at your insights, it used to tell you how many plays that reel got. That does not mean that's how many people saw the reel. Because think about this, there was this trend for a long time, and it still is, to have really short reels that are like 5, 6, 7 seconds with a lot of text on them, so that people will stay on that reel and watch it multiple times so they can read the text. Well, what is that doing for Instagram? It's keeping people on the platform longer because they're consuming that piece of content multiple times. And so they are being shown, you as the creator are being shown, this is how many times your reel was played. Well, that 5-second reel might have been played 1,000 times by only 250 people, but they just watched it 4 times each, or it looped through 4 times so that they could read the text. So Instagram came out just last week and announced that they are changing the metrics so that it's no longer going to be plays, but it's going to be views, meaning how many times the actual piece of content was viewed. So those 4 times that it loops through is going to count as 1. And that aligns with the same way that they're showing you views on carousel posts or static posts. And it helps you kind of get a better understanding across all 3 types of content. Even stories is going to be looked at this way, so that somebody could view a story and then they could be like, oh, I want to go back. What did that person say earlier that I wanted them to tell me about? Like they're viewing it a second time, if that makes sense. So again, this is just a top of funnel metric to understand this is what they're measuring, and what does it mean, and what does it mean for you in terms of planning your content and measuring the effectiveness of your content. All right, I'm getting long, guys. I'm sorry. I like to go into all these details for you. So I've got one more trend that I wanted to make sure we covered today, and that is about Google. And I want to talk about Google because we all know that social media is not a strategy. And I've talked a lot about social media today, plus podcast trend, but people still go to Google. Google has 97% of the search market share. 97% of people use Google when they want to know something. It's just a fact. Google is where people go. And I'm not an SEO expert. Again, if I work with a client, in SEO and driving people to your website through search engine optimization is a part of your strategy, which it should be. I work with our team of experts on keyword research and SEO optimization. But one of the things that I want you to know as a consumer and as a business owner is that Google has changed the way they are serving search results with generative AI. Well, what does that mean? When you Google something, and I see it a lot more on mobile than I see it on desktop. But when you Google something, particularly if you're Googling a question, like what did I Google the other day? I was looking at these magnesium supplements, and I Googled like, does magnesium help with sleep? So instead of having a list of links at the top of the page, I had a summary from Google, that Google is using AI to create that summary from the content on the internet to answer my question. Well, what does that mean? That means that I'm not clicking on links because I don't need to go to a link to learn more. Google just told me the answer. So again, what does that mean? Well, I'm not the SEO expert. I would recommend follow my friend Nina Gibson or Mariah Magazine on Instagram. They're my 2 go-to SEO experts to talk about anything SEO, and they can talk a little bit more about generative AI if you're curious to learn what this means. But just know that, again, it goes back to paid ads. Google is not putting organic links at the top of their search results all the time. They are putting summarized piece of content that the person can read and then move on. So if you're wanting people to click on links for your business from Google, we need to optimize for different keywords or more effective keywords for your brand. And B, we might need to be running ads for keywords because sponsored content will be moved up, particularly for certain words. So that was a lot. I wanted to cover these trends quickly, but as I realized, I probably could have given a whole episode to every single one of these trends. And that might be something that I use to inform my content planning going forward, is that we can go a little bit deeper if we try to cover less in each episode. But I appreciate you being here, and I want to encourage you to stay agile and experimental in your marketing, and know that if your plate is full and you're trying to think about operations and manage your clients and plan for next year and think about budgets, all the things, the CEO does not need to be the CMO. You don't have to wear the marketing hat. You don't have to do this alone. A strategic partner might be exactly what you need to get to that next level, to help you kind of create that map, that roadmap of how to use marketing to get to your next business goal. And that's exactly what we do here at the Consistency Corner. So feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions. I'm happy to chat with you. And thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you on next week's episode.